Spanish people are not allowed to rap and not allowed to hip hop. You were born in Bushwick, Brooklyn, right? I mean, New Hampshire, but you, right, Bushwick. How many Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Colombians, whatever, is born into poverty with hip hop?
They're right there.
They're right.
Correction, Mexicans have a harder time being accepted into rap, not the other Hispanics. I'm gonna break it down. Stick around, okay? First thing. Why nobody questions why there's not a lot of Hispanic artists in the pop music? Pop been the most popular music genre in America for the last 40 years, and we only had like 2 famous Hispanic pop stars: Christina Aguilera, Selena Gomez. Why nobody complains about that? It's like everybody feels like they should have a space into black spaces, but they never ask the white people to leave their doors open. Why we don't have a popular Hispanic country musicians? Like why we always why people always trying to get into black spaces? Martin Luther King messed a lot of minds up. Also, why ain't nobody asking why aren't there a lot of worldwide famous black Latin artists? Black people do live in Spanish areas. Like all the famous Latin artists is known worldwide is white, and the black ones get thrown under the bus. Like this is the closest we get to a Latin black musician superstar in the last few decades, okay? And I don't know if we consider something like this conversation for another day. And also, why he don't got too many Grammys? Why J Balvin got more Grammys than him? But that's a question for another video. Now we got that through. There have been several Hispanic hit makers in the hip hop, especially in the last 20 years. Mr. 05, who's Cuban. A group in Miami, Florida, where Cubans and black Americans really don't interact that much unless they got to. One of the biggest Hispanic rappers of all time. 2 #1 hits and multiple hit records. So I don't know what he's talking about. Joe from New York. Don't got no #1 hits, but got hit records. Got hit records we still play today. Puerto Rican. One of the best hip-hop musicians ever. Lasted a long time. 6ix9ine, what are you talking about? Cardi got more #1 hits than J. Cole. I think she got the same amount of #1 hits as Kendrick Lamar, close. And got a lot of hit records, even though, she ain't been out for a long time. She been out, she just haven't put music out. Dominican, full Dominican. 6ix9ine, what are you talking about? You usually do come with the facts, but right now you're wrong. Fabulous, another word. Hitmaker. Dominican, half Dominican. Come on, I'm not seeing that. Ice Spice, another Dominican. Got a couple hits, didn't last long, but got a couple hits. I don't know. Even Baby Bash, who's Mexican, have some hit songs. So I don't know what is he talking about that he can break it into hip-hop. But to go back on what I said earlier, with Mexicans not making it into hip-hop compared to other Spanish, if you notice, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that make it into hip-hop. And now there's a growing population of Dominicans that's making it into hip-hop. The reason why Mexicans are less likely to make it into hip-hop because their relations with black Americans in the West Coast. Outside of mainly California, the relations pretty much good or okay, but there's not a lot of blacks. In Los Angeles or California, there's a notable amount of blacks, and especially Southern California, they don't get along, and that interferes with them making it hip hop. A lot of the artists that make it in hip hop don't make it because they're genuinely good at the art. They make it because they have connections, okay? And a lot of the connections are friends. And also, black Americans have a long history of being in the music industry. Mexicans, they had their own music industry, but not, prominent in America as of yet. So that equals 2 problems. They don't have a lot of friendly connections that can make it, that they'll open the door into hip-hop. And they don't have a lot of connections in the music industry because there's not a lot of them in the music industry in America itself. Where, on the other hand, contrary, a lot of Puerto Ricans and black Americans in the East Coast of New York, I'm not saying they're all cool. Some of them are racist too. But they usually get along a lot better than compared to the Mexicans and the blacks on the West Coast, okay? A lot of them are friends with black Americans. A lot of families are friends with black Americans. They grew up around black Americans. So they're more likely to have friends that open the door and be like, yeah, you rap, I'm rapping too. Boom, bam, boom. And also, Dominicans, conversation for another day, living on the East Coast, even though they not as tight with the black Americans as are Puerto Ricans, a lot of them that look black, they'll allow them in, or they grew up around the blacks too. So black Americans, let me be clear, because a lot of them are black American. They got better relationships with them than, the Mexicans on the West Coast. So since they, friends with black Americans, and some of those black Americans look at them as black, they put them in. And that ain't just Mexicans. A lot of Central Americans that live on the West Coast, particularly California, don't have a good relationship with the blacks. Black Americans usually stay with their own people. And also, you can make it in the industry without having friendships, but you got to do something that's very prominent that could get you in the music industry, like videotape pretty well. You're a great producer, and a lot of them, they don't get into the music industry as much. They don't see that as a way out. When Black Americans, we have a long history of seeing that as a way out into success and fame and money. So a lot of us are the ones that don't have connections in the music industry will do things that will give them connections, like making beats or doing, filming music videos or doing something. And not having occupations that could get them into the music industry affects them. So that's why there's not a lot of Hispanic music artists, because Spanish rappers, because most of the Hispanics in America are Mexican, like over 60%. Now you notice a lot of Mexicans that make it into hip hop these days are not from the West Coast, but not West Coast. They're from Texas. Okay, Texas, the Mexican American population or the Central American Hispanic population gets along with the Black American population pretty well. I'm not saying they all buddy. Some of them racist too, but they have more of a connection. They're more likely to be friends. So since they're more likely to be friends, especially in a place like Houston, Texas, where there's music connections, they'll be friends. Say, hey, you get it in. You a rapper, I'm a rapper too. Boom, bam, boom. Like Mexican OT, before he put his foot in his mouth, he was moving up in the industry. I'm not completely sure. The atmosphere in Texas, Houston, Texas particularly, help with that. And even a lot of the first popping Hispanic rappers that are Mexican came from Texas. Look at SPM. I know his history ain't too good, but he's from Texas. And he collaborating with Texas artists that were Black American too. On the California, they ain't got no good relationships. So the fact that even affected the rest of the music industry. Like for years, a lot of rappers would come out of California because of the red and blue affiliation. That's why California rap fell off. It's come back now because they putting business first and all that street affiliation to the side. But we also, like I said, even though there's a few Hispanics that made it out the West Coast, particularly California, like Cypress Hill, things are changing now in the race relations there. Kendrick made a difference by making the crazy, scary, spooky, delirious. Put this guy on the map. Lefty. But even though some of them rappers put their foot in their mouth when the Black Americans get an opportunity, they'll say some racist stuff like him say, I don't want my daughter with black men. And the Swifty Blues saying he don't work with the blacks, he rather work with the whites, and he racist in jail. So in the end, long story short, that's all it is, race relations. Depending on what type of Hispanic you are. If you're Black, appearing it's going to make stuff a lot easier. This ain't for all Hispanics. It's mainly Central American Mexicans and the West Coast. The rest can make it in hip-hop pretty easily and doing it for years.